All right. So I've been kind of putting this off, but today I'm gonna just show how I put a bearing together. Um, Today I'm doing basically just a repair. This is my solar eclipse bearing from Unquiet Hands. I've had it for quite some time now, and it's just it's kind of feeling kind of worn out. So what I did is I took the old I'll just call them black balls. I just took the old ones out. I put them in my little container where all the other used ones are. I have some new ones also, so I'm using those. And we'll see if it helps this any. It may not. It could be the inside of the race that's just kind of bad. But I have cleaned both the outside and inside race. I'm going to scoot this up for light. But anyway, so I've cleaned it out the best I could. I've inspected it, looked for cracks, all that good stuff. This is it's a 10 ball, not a 9, as are all of the Eclipse versions of these bearings from Unquiet Hands. So I'm going to go over the tools that I use. Obviously, I use tweezers. You want a pair of tweezers that are fairly pointy, that have a fairly sharp tip. That way you can be precise in picking each little individual ball up and placing it. And then this is, I don't really know what you call this, but I got it from the sewing section at Walmart. The point comes in handy when I'm like moving the balls around inside the race to line them up for the retainer. This comes in handy. All this is just a thumbtack. I've actually taken the pointed part and pulled it out of the base, flipped it around, stuck it back in because I need something basically that size and blunt. That way I can push the retainer. That way I can push it out of the bearing when I'm disassembling. So anyway, and then I've also got can't see it up here, but this is just a magnifying glass. I don't need it right now. I only use it when I'm inspecting, balls or whatever, just look for cracks and stuff like that. But and then lastly is basically some dish detergent. I got a lot in there so you can see it, but basically all I do is just scoop it up. I'll show you in a second. And then I coat the inside of the race. It keeps the balls from falling out while you're trying to put it together. So I guess I'll get started here. So basically, I just kind of let that run down and scoop just a decent little bit to where it's kind of wanting to drip. You don't want it dripping all over the place. So I kind of rotate it around. And then I just basically roll it up on my fingers and then roll it back down. And I coat. Just basically 1/2. As you can see, this is very finicky, tedious. Not for everybody, but for me, it's fun. So now that I've coated what I need to coat, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dry or wipe these tweezers off. These are ceramic tweezers. I've had these for quite some time. I actually bought these for building coils for vaping back in the day. So don't really do that anymore. So I've found another use for them, and they work great for basically anything, but for this it's perfect. I don't have to worry about when I pick up the balls or anything like I just feel like anything metal is going to just take a chance of putting a scratch on these, and you don't want that, especially in a bearing. So I hope you guys can see this well enough. There's 1, 2. See how you just can drop them in and they sit. You can turn it over, flip it over, whatever. That's what the soap is for. You may think I'm crazy, but if it works, it works. And then you just continue to put the rest in. I feel like Bob Ross. Nice little polycarbonate balls. So I'm down to the last 2 here. See how easy that was? All right, so I've got 9 in. This is a 10 ball bearing. Because I'll show you, but because it can be a little tough to put the center race back in with all 10 balls, I leave only 9 in, and I put the 10th one in last. So another thing I use this for is to pick up that center race. And so from there, I just carefully slide it up into the top of the inside. Just like that, and kind of hold it steady. Grab it with my fingernail. And this is the part that people are not going to want to mess with. And then there you go. So I basically just hold it up at the top. You see where you've got, I don't know if you can see, but you've got a bit of a gap here. So is what I'm gonna, where that ball is, up to there. And this is where this comes into play. Can't see. So I just basically go in and I'll move 1 ball up. See? I'll move that 1 ball up here. That way I can fit the 10th one in the gap. Kind of rotate it because they'll start wanting to roll. And sometimes you gotta be quick. It really just depends on how much soap you have in place. Make sure that's nice and snug in there. Make them all go down. And see, they're all in. So now I basically just let that center race go down, push it onto the rest of the balls. And so now it's on there, it's in there. This is the final stages basically. See, that wasn't so bad. I hope you guys can see. If you can, I'm sorry. I'll try to redo this if it doesn't look good. But so now, once you have that center race pushed against the balls, push with pressure, and keep it held firm that way. And then you need to move 1 ball all the way around onto the opposite side. That way, it looks like that. Once it's set like that, you should be good and your center race won't fall out. But I would hold and start rotating the other balls around. Oh, this has got a loose tolerance. So not all bearings are gonna be as smooth as this. A lot of your bearings are gonna be a little bit tighter tolerance. So basically all that is your center race, the size of it might be a little bigger, some might be smaller. The balls may be a different size. Your outer race may be a different size. Man, they're all different. So I've basically got all the balls kind of turned around. And this is what the soap helps as well. It helps me to helps the balls to be able to just stay in place. That way they're not rolling around. You're not fighting and struggling, because you'd be here for hours. And when I say you would be. All right. So now I've got all the balls kind of spaced out good enough to where I can fit this retainer in. So it's usually what I'll do. I'll just place it on my fingertip like so and just kind of line it up. Just get a couple of the balls lined up, just kind of eyeball it and just drop it on top. And just kind of press. You can press one side and it'll usually catch. So see where it's caught. It's caught this side, but not this side. Can't really see. Because I have no lighting. Anyway. I wonder if I do this. Hey. Should have done that the whole time. Alright. So now, because that one's not catching on this side here, all I gotta do is just kind of push that little ball out of the way and then go underneath and press. And push with your fingernail, that way you can pop it in. You'll hear a little snap. See, it's kind of sticking up a little bit there. All you do is just go. You want to be a little stubborn, yeah? Oh, it's rolling on me. So sometimes it'll roll. You'll get it to, you'll push it down one side, and then it'll, see, come up on the other. So is what's happening here is you just gotta hold the rest of it in place and then just push. And sometimes this is where this thing comes in handy as well. Some are more stubborn than others. Sometimes you gotta play with it. Almost. There we go. 10 balls can be a little finicky. And there you go. She's in. She's repaired. So it's not gonna spin good right now. I'll go wash this out, clean it, and I'll be right back. Compressed air is always your best friend. I'm gonna back out here. I'm just gonna show kind of what I do. And now she's dry. And now, that's a good bearing. So now we'll put it back in. I was using it on my zirconium Naboo. I haven't, I put it in when it first got here, and I was like, ugh, this thing feels terrible. So, oh my God, I'm knocking things all over the place. And I knew it had been kind of feeling a little funky. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a rebuild. One little factoid, the Naboo 2.0, and I noticed this with my tungsten Naboo too. It doesn't require, well, okay, let me take that back. If you're putting a stainless bearing in the Naboo, you'll probably need some Loctite or whatever you use. But with ceramics, for some reason, it doesn't need it. Like, I can push on this all day long and it's not coming out. It's in there. It's like it's a legit press fit. Now with my tungsten Naboo, even with the stainless, I didn't need Loctite for most of the stainless bearings either, because it's a true press fit. So the way I know if I got a good bearing is if I barely tap it and she starts rolling. Like, that's a good bearing. And it's also got some looseness to it, which is a part of that tolerance. That's how you know you got a good one. Oh man, I can already tell. Oh my goodness gracious, Lord have mercy. Look, just barely spinning it. I could probably get a good minute spin time out of it, or more. That's lovely. Man, so now, I wish you could have heard it before. I should have done it before and after. This thing was sounding rough. Now that I put new balls in it, because I guarantee you one of the balls that was in it was cracked. Some bearings you can flip on one, or bearings you notice in a spinner, you have it on one side, it sounds good. You flip it over and it sounds rough. That's when you probably got a cracked ball in there somewhere. If it's a ceramic, if it's a stainless, it's probably got a little rust spot or you need to clean it. But now this thing sounds beautiful on both sides. Oh man, that's a good feeling right there. All right, well, that's it. If you got any questions, let me know. I'll try to maybe even work in and do a stainless bearing for you guys if you want me to. And we can also maybe even talk about some fidgets too. Oh yeah, let me show you before I go. So I bought that solar eclipse that's in here from you Unquiet Hands. And I've always wanted the opposite one. Check her out. So I didn't buy that. I made that. All I did was take some old parts and took a dark energy or a dark matter bearing and used the outside race. And it worked out really well. It's got a really loose tolerance. It's looser than this one. Really good. So, hey, I saved myself, like, with shipping, 25 bucks. By the way, Matt Ritter has done a phenomenal job with the LPS, the shorty. Oh man, dude, it's sick. Paired with the full-size LP bronze buttons. Dude, super classy. Like I said, that little tap and it spins like that, that's when you know you got a good one. And it's just loose feeling. There's no friction or anything that you're feeling. So, yeah. Anyway, all right, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later.